Stephanie, she will talk about the taxation, as far as I understand it.
Yes, we do taxes before lunch. That's perfect. So I called it From Noise to High Signal, the fiscal code of DePIN and AI. And what we will do, I give you 5 and 5. We'll have 5 topics and 5 key takeaways. That's in my experience. If you follow these 5 key takeaways, you will save more money than about 99% of your competitors who don't follow these rules. They are quite straightforward, but I think for DePIN and AI they're important to keep in mind. So, if you want to poll, own the tax track. What do I mean? I mean, with taxes, stay in the driver's seat. Otherwise, you're driven by taxes, and that means you pay more. These are our 5 topics. We start with the typical dual structure we see with DePIN projects, and then we come to the new gold in taxation. And that's not Bitcoin, just. First, dual structure. With DePIN projects, usually we have a corporation, in Switzerland an AG or GmbH, and then we have an association and foundation. The association or the foundation, they issue the tokens, and then they usually have a service relationship with the corporation. Corporation usually does the marketing. They do R&D, contractual R&D, and then has the contract with the association. Now the point is, which is very nice, is that associations and foundations, they have very beneficial taxation. And so in the first years you can apply the so-called cost plus 5%. We also know this from transfer pricing, but here it's the minimal taxation, because usually you would book a provision, you would have an income of 0 with the foundations and associations. So that's the minimal taxation. The problem that I've seen now over the years is that you apply it, most of them just apply it directly, but before you do, make a calculation, because it could be that you're already very operational with your association. Have a look at your tax loss carry forwards, because otherwise if you apply the cost plus 5, you can't use them anymore, and you can carry forward them 7 years. So that's just my first key takeaway: mind the tax loss carry forwards before falling into cost plus 5%. Just to keep that in mind. Now you've heard, for the future, structure it accordingly, and then I think this could save you a lot of money also then in the coming 7 years. Now, financing from loans to bonds, that's a general one, because we see a lot of convertible loans being issued at the moment. In Switzerland, we have the so-called 10-20 non-bank rule. Now, I won't get technical, but I give you this. If you will raise more than 500k, then count them. If you come close to 10, change the conditions, because if you issue them at the same conditions, it will be requalified into a bond, meaning your interest payments will become subject to withholding tax. A lot of projects currently run into this, because it's also triggered a bit from the Silicon Valley in the US. These convertible loan structures like the KISS and so on are very popular in Switzerland. Taxes, withholding tax can be a problem, so therefore count them, and you know, if you know more than 10 different conditions, because then you can issue up to 20 and not be qualified as a bond. And then again, change the maturity. If they are below 1 year and above 1 year, they are counted separately. Just, you have heard this now, because once you're in it, once it's a bond, and all the loans are requalified. And all interest payments will be subject to withholding tax, and your investors, they will not like this, because when they are outside of Switzerland, they will not be able to reclaim it fully. It's all doable, but you need to know it, and then you can plan it. Then we will hear this a lot today as well. I think it's the new old trend, we know this. Let's go offshore, because their magic is a bit more magical, we know it. It's fine, you can structure offshore. That's just a structuring tip. I'm really giving you some concrete tax things you see today, really for the structuring, that you know, you keep this in mind. When you think about going offshore, don't put these companies on top because of withholding tax, because we don't have double tax treaties with them. You can do it if below is, for example, a company in Liechtenstein, because Liechtenstein doesn't know any withholding tax, as does Dubai. That's why Liechtenstein and Dubai structures work very well. Just keep this in mind when you go offshore. Never, never, never put them on top as a holding. Put them below, or put another country in between, like Switzerland. Then these structures work. And you will hear it a lot, especially when we talk about DAOs. Because of course with Panama, with Cayman, I work a lot with both countries and it works. But if you keep this in mind, you will know in the future, wait, there was something with not putting on top. You save a lot of money. Number 4. We have heard already the regulators talking about the tokens and the token qualification. Now, especially in DePIN projects, tokens play a crucial role, especially when we think of value-added tax. Now, the thing is, in tax, we follow this structure. We qualify them, we look at the transaction, and then at the valuation. And actually, we don't care so much about the regulator because we have the same names for the tokens, but we have different rules. Now, I'm telling you this because of VAT. You will know, especially, also we have Onokoi here, of course, they also know very well utility tokens. They are used quite frequently. Now, from a VAT perspective, I consider this token a service, meaning the token per se is considered a service. So when I pay with this token, for example, a service provider, part of it, then VAT will say, hey, that's an exchange of services. So you have to know this. Then you have to look at the transaction. It could also be that your token, for example, represents a share, or it represents a loan. Then again, the token per se has taxes. The transactions, what I do with it, has a tax consequence. And then I need to look at the valuation, also in different countries. Always follow these 3 steps. And then, only then, you think of the taxes. And just don't get, especially when we have the same topic with securities. Diana knows, she was a former colleague. From a regulatory perspective, I have a definition of securities. And then for especially stamp tax purposes, I have another definition. So just keep them apart, and then you are safe. And also mind the asset-backed tokens, because you might not be able to deduct input VAT. It's really qualification of tokens is very important for value-added tax purposes. And internationally, there is no consensus at all, and there we don't have any double tax treaties. That's why VAT is always a big topic, and it's rising. And the 5th one, the new gold, it's actually data. That's especially when we talk about AI. We already heard about AI before. And the robots, and if they can be taxed, the robot tax discussion. Now, what I want to say here, data has a value and it comes at a cost. This discussion has only just started. It started with the Meta case in Italy, because Italian VAT tax administration said, hey, Facebook, that you enter this service and that you provide your data and that you can use it, that's a service. And they valued it. It's in front of the European court still, because it's a big case. It would mean a few 100 million per year of VAT for Meta only in Italy, meaning if this goes global, that would be a huge disaster for Meta. But it is on the table and the discussion has started, and we are still not that aware of it, because we have data everywhere. And the problem is, how do we value it? And at the same time, internationally, the countries are getting very scared that they are losing their taxes. We see this already, especially Germany has launched this new discussions with permanent establishments and so on. So it will get more difficult internationally. So countries will look for new sources of revenue, because countries need taxes to finance themselves. That's why when we talk about AI and data, let us keep this in mind already and be aware, okay, it has a value and it might be taxed. And how do we value it, and how can we maybe proactively already use it? Meta case could also affect micro, cumulus. Would be the same question then. It has a value because it's my data, and this is the discussions that are going on policy level at the moment. That's just from me to you as an information in the background. This is currently being discussed, and we have no consensus yet because we have different opinions, but just keep it in mind. The new goal in taxation is not Bitcoin, it's data, and let us keep this in mind. And these are already my 5 key takeaways, because I wanted to make it short and on the point, and I knew it's before lunch. So that's that.